of this growing mass. And I ask, if this is progress, how long will it last?
Yes indeed, a pleasant good night to all and sundry, East, West, North, South, Central, or Friends in Tobago, and wherever you are, streaming on the World Wide Web. Pleasant good night to you, of course. This is the Corridor Transformation. Sorry about the tardiness tonight, but of course, I overslept, frankly. And of course, there are those who are so concerned about, of course, my health, if you want to call it that, that of course I am burning the candle, so to speak, at both ends to some degree. That of course they preferred that I got the rest, the rest, and so of course forsake what my commitments are. But of course, recognizing that the time was upon me, I decided, well, listen, in spite of that concern, not misplaced. You know, you have to commend people who, of course, are concerned. But of course, duty calls, and therefore, one has to respond. I want to say that I don't want to be held responsible. I don't want to be held responsible, like of course the pump man, who of course, in the midst of tremendous rainfall and of course potential inundation, but he is responsible for triggering the pump so that the water could be pumped out in such a way that people can still use the streets, etc. And this is a real scenario I am intimating to you, because it occurred near the abattoir in the central market, just of course let's say north of Sealots and west of Beetham. Yes, that central market area there, but there is an area that floods, and instead of staying to, of course, make certain that the streets are not flooded, because the pumps would have been there for that purpose, the pump man said, well, look, it's 4 o'clock and he has to go, and therefore he left. And of course, obviously, the place was flooded. So I am making the point that when you have a responsibility, you have to, of course, do things irregardless of the circumstance. In other words, making and taking responsibility to make certain that you do what is required, because so many other people can be affected by the work that was not done, or the decision to abandon a responsibility. Not that it would have been illegal, and not that the person didn't have the right to, of course, go home, because the time would have been reached for that person to get home or terminate work for that particular period. But your conscience and your discretion and your common sense would have clearly triggered and say, well, listen, I have to stay because my work is so important that many people will be stranded, will not be able to use the roadway if I would go home, of course, and you could negotiate for extra maybe attachment to your month-end or weekend salary, as the case may be. But that didn't happen. The person simply just got up and leave. Yeah, I'm talking about a real situation, and that of course is a clear case of irresponsibility, frankly. And I don't want to be, of course, caught in that category or in that type of scenario. That being as it may, of course, let me, whilst I'm talking here, I am, of course, engaging. I see that, of course, we are all right. Let me just Let me just start again. A pleasant good night to all and sundry, East, West, North, South, Central, our friends in Tobago, and wherever you are streaming on the World Wide Web. A pleasant good day to you. Let us, of course, hear a little bit of King Austin, late King Austin, again, because this is about, of course, commitment, dedication, and making certain that we do what is required in order, of course, to move Trinidad and Tobago forward, and clearly by extension, if you want to call it that, or by or by first stop your own scenario, and of course making certain that if your family, if yourself, etc., and your neighborhood is correct, it means by extension the whole country will also be correct or will be all right. So let's say it again.
Today, when I look around in the world, what do I see? I see footprints that man have left on the sand while walking through times. I see fruits of our ambitions, figment of our imaginations, and I ask myself, when will it end? When will it end? It is plain to see, universally this land is not bountiful as it was, simply because in his quest for success, nothing stands in man's way. All rivers run dry, soon the birds will fly, the mountains will be no longer high. And when I really think of it, I just wonder why, oh why. I see charity deplored, equal rights totally ignored, wisdom and ingenuity working in accord, simply to afford such inventions as thermonuclear warfare and environmental warfare. And I wonder now, where do we go from here? Prophets everywhere gaze upon the horizon and declare that judgment will come as the savage hands of unscrupulous men defile everything passed by. Time is running out as we eat and drink, species at the brink of being extinct. And I think no one can deny that the price of progress is high, real high. I see consciousness as great as today we live recklessly. Money make egos inflate and thereby create a turbulent state. I see a struggle between the sexes, new hang-ups and old complexes. Now the question is, right in context, what shall be next? I've already seen this world have come divided between race, color, creed and class. And some of the things the scripture predict truthfully come to pass. Soil that wouldn't bear children, making children to be a part of this growing mass. And I ask, if this is progress, how long will it last?
Simple and reasonable question. Where is the 54.9 million going to be allocated? Simple and reasonable question. Where is the 54.9 million going to be allocated?
Serving as a
And therefore I'm asking a simple and reasonable question: where is the 54.9 million going to be allocated? Simple and reasonable question: where is the where is the 54.9 million going to be allocated?
As serving as a minister, I would not have been given the privilege to visit some and so many of you in so many communities in West Tobago as well as in East Tobago. And that is the reason why I felt a sense of hurt and disappointment that on election night, when I heard that Shamfa lost her seat and Ayana lost her seat. Dr. Eric Williams, many years ago, said that every single member of the PNM is a propagandist of the PNM. And one of the first things I will do as your new chairman is to ensure that the propagandists of the PNM must be deployed on every nook and every cranny of this country, and we will chase them away on social media, and that the gospel of the PNM must be known to every single citizen of this country.
And criminal wrongdoing is alleged. I don't mind you looking at me. I'm happy. But when you look at the political leader and Prime Minister of the United National Congress, her grandmother, who has served this country for however long, never had one standard raised against her, I will go to war with I will go to war with you. 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 My friends down the road there, you okay? The point is that this is something that needs to be investigated, and it will be investigated with every fiber of my being.
Yes indeed, yes indeed, yes indeed. And of course one wonders, well, why would of course the Attorney General speak in such what I consider to be aggressive tone to, of course, those opposite? Well, of course, that is because for the first time we are really, of course, getting an idea as to what is in the minds of the government in terms of addressing the very macabre, the very obvious violation of fundamental principle of good governance, one or several of which are the whole question of transparency, accountability, and of course inside of that there is what is called the Integrity in Public Life Act, and therefore it defines what corruption is. And of course it is the use of public resources in essence for your personal or your a friend or family or persons who you are acquainted with gains. That is what corruption is. And therefore, when he speaks about wrongdoing in public life, he's really talking about misbehavior in public life. He's talking about the breaching of the fundamental oath that one would have taken. All of those are part and parcel of the concept of corruption, nepotism, cronyism, and of course making certain that you benefit somehow, whether directly or indirectly. Let's go straight to the lines. A pleasant good night to welcome to the corridor.
Hey, Lennox, good night.
Good night, my friend.
You hear me good?
Loud and clear, loud and clear.
Right. Who's that fella was talking about they go preaching gospel at the PNM when every nook and cranny?
I think it's Marvin or Marva. Sorry. Let me say Gonzalez.
Gonzalez?
Yeah.
No, Christine Kangaloo, before the election,
Uh-huh.
I tell you, we were preaching gospel at the Balize.
That's right.
In every part of Trinidad, and then she changed it to the gospel of the PNM.
Yes.
So we pretend there ain't nothing new.
Fantastic, fantastic connection. I thought no one would have been as clever, to that extent to make a connection and a nexus between the president's statement at one time when she was not president, but of course also indicating that she ought not to have been selected as president under a PNM administration, having regard, of course, to the fact of her performance as president in the Senate. There was, of course, some question marks surrounding her objectivity and her biases in favor, of course, of the PNM. Go ahead.
Yeah. And when she gets herself, and when she talking about we will preach the gospel and the policy, they make her change it. And she gospel and the PNM.
Yes.
It is the same thing that idiot whoever he is talking. How do I help them? I help them to get what? So what I expect to happen now? And you say that Marvin talking that?
Yeah. I follow like that. Yes, indeed.
Is Marvin Gonzalez talking that, Grandma?
Marvin Gonzalez, that's right. That's the man. Some that's called these days. I am inclined, of course, to
call him Marvin.
to give him the pseudonym or the false name or the sobriquet Marvin, because most people do that. But I try to be, of course, start to stay away from that. But it is so enticing and it is so infectious that sometimes I really refer to him as a her. But go ahead. Yeah.
But there must be have good reason. You will have your reasons why I will get involved, but I hear rumors myself.
That's right. So when your conscience, just as of course young Marcel, when of course he's so steep in using obscenity, that of course that was extended, even though it was let's say partial, it was not complete, but certainly one could know where he was going when of course he said with the and of course it didn't complete, but we know. Yeah?
Well, watch me. Them just trying to stay in exile forever, Lennox.
I hear you.
With that kind of stupid talk. That was the talk before the election, they come back with that. But they're helping themselves, Lennox.
No, of course not. I mean, and that was in an internal election. He talked that hogwash. I mean, people were just stunned, amazed, flummoxed, and in total, dismay. When you look at the frustration and the concerns that was etched on people's faces. I mean, as an experienced person, you would know when people are angry, when they are certainly fed up, and when they see that person as a total backside. So I suspect it's all of the above. Yeah.
I feel it is practice looking in the mirror in the night when he's talking, because what he is,
I hear you.
and he'll be looking to see who watching him and where watching him.
Yeah. Well, you see, it's a question, of course, of a fella who is throwing stone and has glass, living in a glass house. Because here it is. He said that he didn't know. You remember when he called, of course, former police officer, now, of course, Minister of Homeland Security, Roger Alexander. He said that he's a fool. That, of course, because he cannot read something that was probably he should have rehearsed because it was prepared for him. But of course he is the man who told us that he didn't know that when of course pipe have perforations or like a strainer, plenty holes, that the water pressure will be considerably reduced, and therefore people at the upper reaches, especially when you're going uphill, the water will not be able to reach in the very same pipe, but he expected it too. So I don't know who is more foolish than such a confession. But go ahead.
But I live in an upstairs house, and if they're bike, you can catch me behind.
Yeah, but he doesn't know that. I mean, and that of course is in the realm of simple and common sense.
Let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
You ever joined the police force?
Yes, I understand that. And of course, in his response, when he got the opportunity to, Alexander said that they used to call him, I think, something of the nature. I will play it sometime to make the comparison. But I think if I may be guilty of simply paraphrasing. So let me paraphrase, where he said that he always late, or he was just about to do something. That is what they used to call him in the police service.
Right, and then Alexander say, he jump up on the neck.
Yes. And he jump up and say that that is imputing some kind of motive that suggests some kind of violence. Of course, the speaker was very clinical. He asked him, well, do you really believe that the man said that he would stand up physically on your physical neck? And he couldn't answer. He said, Mr. Speaker, I raised the objection. It's up to you to rule, because he realized that he had made an ass of himself. Are you there? I don't know, but are you all right there? I'm hearing you. Right, good. Go ahead. Any response? Hello? Yeah, I'm here. I'm hearing.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing. All right,
The man was only telling you that he trying to feel the man is the father. Oh God, Daddy, don't do that. That's what Alexander was trying to say.
Of course, it was impossible for Alexander to mean that he was physically putting his feet on his neck. He was saying that you're trying to embarrass me. You're trying to, of course, belittle me. You're trying, of course, to exert your superiority on me. Of course, Alexander ultimately he converted it to a lesson. I think it was a very good move, and of course, and I had to respect him because he came across as a typical teacher when he said that, listen, children, I hope that you are watching, but please, if you are doing work and it is a challenge to you, don't give up, continue to persevere. Of course, telling Gonzalo, listen, you are in opposition and I am in government now, and therefore, of course, that is a far cry from I being, of course, the fool that you would have tried to make me out to be when you had the podium and you, of course, expressed that what I consider to be unsalubrious statement. Let me put it that way. But go ahead.
Well, Alexander was trying to tell him is,
Yes.
I got your daddy, I got your father.
Yeah.
You come and crying to me like he was your father. I got your father.
Yeah, he was trying to score cheap political points. That's all in his domain. Talking to a PNM crowd, a PNM crowd that clearly he believes has a level of intelligence that, of course, one cannot talk about mustard seed in that case, but one could talk about, of course, maybe I would even say a donkey, because donkeys are very congenial and obedient animals. I think it was you who brought that to my attention, and somebody else said, of course, that was the animal that Mary preferred to, of course, take her to Bethlehem. So after that, I sort of reduced my criticism of donkeys. Yeah. So they have a sense of their own.
Stick on you too if you get back.
Yeah. They drop some kick on you too.
Of course.
Yeah. All right. I hear you.
But I ain't going no place but one last request from you.
Go ahead.
Through you, I want to tell Andy on the ground report.
Yes.
To entertain Mr. Nobody. That fella is really a nobody. That fella is a total idiot right now.
Yeah, but he he speaks ad nauseum to a point of sickening, and he seemed to be, attempting to be clever, but at the same time, in many instances, too many instances, doesn't make sense because it does not resonate with reality. But
That's right. Talking about they have nothing like independent. Which is a backside of it.
what he said, what is the concern that you would have had?
When he talk, but it have not like he was trying to cover all the independent senators who vote
Oh,
for him.
saying what you were saying?
He trying to say they have nothing like independent.
Oh, he has nothing like independent. I see. Okay, yeah.
It's like if I vote for UNC,
Yeah, but I wonder what he would call them then, if not independent senators.
this man saying he's a backside.
Yeah.
Tell Andy must cut him off. I want for now.
All right then, partners. Thanks very much, of course, for that intervention. Yes, indeed. Well, of course, people. One of the things that Jeremy was concerned about is the attack on Kamala Prasad Bissessa, the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. Remember what he said? He said that in no uncertain terms that when you begin to attack the Prime Minister, the head of the UNC, a mother and of course a grandmother, and of course a person who has been immune from scandals, he will of course go to war with certain people. Well, this would have been one of the things that he would have remembered. Listen to this. Yes, indeed. You know, remember this?
Kamala Prasad Bissessa's members of family all receive rentals from the government. Kamala Prasad Bissessa's members of family all receive rentals from the government.
I can categorically state and confirm that no family members of the member for Siparia benefited from any government rentals.
All right, let's pause for a cause. Let me just pause here. Yes, indeed, of course, and take the call now. Yes, indeed. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Good night.
Good night. You hear me loud and clear?
No, brother.
All right,
No,
okay.
All
All
How are
right.
you?
Well, fine. Fighting up, tired. Working, of course, excessively, but attempting to fight the good fight. Don't put it that way. Go ahead.
But a birdie tells me in my ears, my brother Lennox, that you're making inroads into the Prime Minister office of your love party is getting selected to board and etc. And two, I saw you going to Parliament. Are you a senator or you are an MP?
I hear you, my friend, but of course, as a member of the public, as you may be aware, and of course, I am telegraphing that to any member of the public. You can, of course, go to the public gallery in the Parliament on any sitting, whether it be the upper house or the lower house. But of course, to answer your question directly, no, I am not, as everybody would know, I'm not a member of the house, any one of the houses. However, of course, I have been working very hard, and yes, we have, of course, as a party, submitted what we had to submit, having been asked by the authorities to, of course, submit members for appointment on boards, which, of course, I expect to materialize in the not too distant future. Not too distant here, meaning days rather than weeks. Go ahead. Yes?
My brother, let me ask you something, right? You said last week that you said you're a deputy political leader out of Fari for MOU. But we insulate nothing that he come back and tell us what he did. So what transpired in that conversation?
Well, yes, it is an ongoing conversation. We are still wrapping up the nuts and bolts, but that initiative has been taken, and we are awaiting as everything else. It will take some time, but time here, as I said, being days or weeks, not months or years, because we have to deliver. We have a mandate to deliver, and by all means necessary, we have to deliver.
So, asking a question. So, if the public so far in that they're bringing all the ambassadors, they're bringing all kind of things, Mr. Lennox Smith, onto the corridor of transformation and into the ground report. What is your working spec, our aspect? Or you really use big words? I don't want to use the big words.
I hear you. I hear you, my friend. I hear you, my friend. Well, very, very simply put, we are, and we do have access to these various ministers and ministries. We have to put the paperwork together. That is no big word, and that it is a matter of time as they look at it, because even every single minister seemed to be in a review state, looking at what they met, looking at what transpired before they got in, and that is a period that is obvious. You can't just go like a bull in a china shop and simply start to cut or perform when you don't know where you came from, where you are, and therefore one has to, of course, have that period to assess the situation before you can deliver. And that is a period that the government is in across the board. It will be dishonest, or put another way, it will be remiss of anybody to, of course, want to have off the cuff for people just getting things without, of course, such an assessment. And that's a fact. I don't have to read and spell for anybody as far as that is concerned. That's it.
Mr. Lennox,
Yeah.
That's something. There is 7th anniversary for the LFL.
Yes.
Laventille for Laventille, right? What is that? What you're doing for the city for Laventille?
Well,
Because people expected things. We ain't see no balloons. We ain't see nothing, but all we people of Laventille and along the bridge, they saying for Laventille. We ain't see nothing. All we ain't on you every single night or on the ground report is a 7th year.
Well, this is the 7th anniversary of the incubator, the business incubator program that was initiated in 2019, just before the COVID strike. But of course, we have invited, we had one session already, not directly connected, but the opening of our Center for Employment and other services. But this is a big thing. Having regard to all of the circumstance, I don't want to reveal any more except to say that we are engaged in that exercise, and until we get the kind of what I consider to be response that we are looking for, we are going to either have a low-key or a high-profile celebration. But to have a celebration and to have the recognition that is required and the significance of such an initiative, I want to say it is in train and will be pursued.
Yeah, but Lennox, what?
Yes.
Right?
All right.
Today, all had a conversation with the Minister, Ms. Moat.
Yes.
Her name is?
Yeah. Well, tomorrow, certain documents will be sent to that particular minister. I hope that I have the energy and the time, because, as you know, the onus is on me, and of course, good health means money. I don't have the money, but certainly I have the energy and the commitment.
1 minute.
Yeah.
All you're telling us as people on the street, I from East Port of Spain. I from George Street. People that be on Nelson Street and all about, right?
Yeah.
All you're telling people.
Hold on the line. Yeah. All right. Well, I can't say more except, of course, to say that things are on the way, based on the limited resources that we have, but we have to make it happen. All right. All right. So thank you very much. Yes, I have another caller to deal with. Thanks. Yes. Sorry about that, caller. Go ahead.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, Mr. Lennox.
Good night to you, my friend. How are thou in your neck of the woods?
Well, a little weather, fall, but nothing mean, so we okay at this time.
All right, okay.
But we're not scared since we know the government is taking care of all those problems when rain fall very quickly.
I hear you, my friend. I hear you. Where you are, normally it will flood, or has there been some kind of improvement?
A lot of flood.
Okay.
Now, I heard on the media that the Prime Minister from India will be visiting us in 2 weeks' time.
Yes, 2 weeks' time. 2 weeks' time, my friend. Yeah.
Right, but I can remember in the past, they had visited you, man. They had
yes,
the High Commissioner and whatnot had a good something good with you and your group.
Yes, definitely. Of course, LFL, it is called Lavantil for Lavantillians. We did, of course, we do have a good relationship with the Indian High Commission. In fact, I sent, of course, correspondence, and another piece will be going tomorrow on let's say, giving an assessment or giving a report on what we have been doing since the Indian High Commission made an intervention here. They provided, of course, some books from the many authors on India to us. We have a little library that we developed. We also, of course, had 1 or 2 persons sent to India to study. In one case, of course, entrepreneurial development. In another case, solar energy. So we'll be looking at that. But the purpose of all of that is to come back here in Trinidad and to let's say, assist others to with the particular skill that they would have learned in India. That has taken place, and I'm particularly proud of our entrepreneurial development program, because we developed what is called a business incubator as a consequence. And since 2019, we did, in fact, of course, initiated that. The person who we have depended upon, who went to India on our behalf, I will leave that a secret for the time being, because I want to make it a big thing. Right now, we are in the jaws of the 7th anniversary of that initiative. I am, of course, writing tomorrow to the embassy or the High Commission to see whether or not when the Prime Minister of India is visiting Trinidad, that they would want to have him pass around to visit, of course, this particular project. So we're working hard to see whether or not they will grace us or oblige us with, of course, that opportunity. If that happens, it will be a tremendous boost for not only East Port of Spain, not only, of course, grassroots initiative, but certainly the entire country will be, of course, boosted by that effort to, of course, come into the ghetto, so to speak, by the Prime Minister of India, to look at initiative that they would have, of course, been sponsoring, so to speak, over these many years, and to see the progress that we would have made in that regard. So that is the extent to which we have an intricate relationship with the Indian High Commission, and therefore by extension India.
Well, I'm very happy to know that quite India, the east of this world, is paying attention to let's say, our dilapidated area, which is Port of Spain, the ghetto, as you say.
Yes.
And we need to bring people out of poverty.
Yeah.
So that the crime will drop in the country.
That's
if
right.
You do not help these people in their problems.
Yes, man.
You know, there's no way, there's nothing else they know but crime.
Yeah.
And crime affects us all.
That's right.
You cannot leave it alone. It's like,
you have to do it. It's a festering sore. Yeah.
Yeah, everything started, let's say, Port of Spain area, man.
Yes, man. And one of the things, and I'm using this opportunity, of course, to share with the national and regional and international audience that watch this program every night, is that we came upon this initiative largely because when you go, or put another way, when persons from, let's say, North America, United States, Canada, or any of the Latin American countries that do business with Trinidad or want to do business with Trinidad and Tobago, or indeed, of course, any of the European countries, whether it be the United Kingdom, France, Germany, Italy, etc., one of the things that they tell their citizens, their own citizens, if you want to come here for a holiday, you want to come as a tourist, or you want to make investment, don't come to Trinidad, but because it's a violent place. That is what they would tell their citizens. And of course, but if you do decide to come to Trinidad, don't go Nelson Street, don't go George Street, don't go East Port of Spain, etc. Well, one of the reasons we came up on this particular initiative is to, of course, invite these ambassadors that represent, and high commissioners that represent these various countries here in Trinidad, invite them into the community, let them see how the community really operates, and with the hope that they will write back to their home countries and tell their governments, well, listen, Trinidad is not as bad as you would think, and of course the place that you are telling people not to go is not as bad as you would think, and as a result raise what is called those advisories against Trinidad and Tobago, because when that happens, all of us are affected. People will decline not to come to Trinidad, decline coming to Trinidad in order to invest, and indeed, of course, whilst oil and gas, we still have some, but the fact is that we have to depend on other things, including tourism, and therefore that will militate against more people coming to Trinidad and seeing Trinidad and Tobago as a destiny to spend their US dollars, so to speak, or the euro dollar, as the case may be. So that is one of the long-term objectives of that particular initiative. Right here in East Port of Spain, right here on George Street, right here on Nelson Street, we saw the problem and we decided, of course, to make our contribution to solving the problem. It's a long way, it's a lot of work, you need some resources, etc., but we believe that it is the most appropriate way to sustainably assist in, of course, national development, and therefore making our contribution there too.
Well, when you look at it, right, what you are saying is so true, that if the business community, not only in Trinidad,
yes,
but elsewhere, as you say, in the world,
yes,
could assist Port of Spain area and could see through your eyes what you are seeing and what you are saying. It's come like school violence at this present moment. Also, if you don't reach the children,
yes, where
the problem stems from,
yes,
and try to have a cure and something to fix that, then you will always have it reoccurring. But what you are doing is reaching the people at their poverty level, their crime level, and then you want to do something for that community and that area.
Yeah, we have to find ways and means. All have to be concerned. Only today, I believe, or yesterday, for example, but while, of course, the police has charged those youths that were engaged in that fracas, that violent fracas, I think in one of the upper schools, the so-called well-to-do schools in Trinidad and Tobago, one of the holy something schools. But of course, they also mentioned Southeast, where of course a fracas took place as well between students, and they are now looking at charging these youths for so engaging. But the fact is that, again, that does not, of course, assist our effort. So it has to be at the level of the family, it has to be level of the neighborhood, it has to be at the level of the schools and the churches, and of course the many steel bands. More than anywhere else in the country, there's a concentration of steel bands. All have to, of course, play their part, quite apart from the police, but all have to play their part in this transformation that is required. So it is a Herculean task. So I like the fact when you say that the business community that are in and around Port of Spain, and of course elsewhere further afield should be focused and, of course, make their contribution, because we are inviting them, of course, to do so, whether they are from Port of Spain, outside of Port of Spain, outside of the country, in the region, internationally. We need, of course, that kind of support, because we have the people, we have the wherewithal in terms of the programs, we have the knowledge, but what we don't have, of course, is the financial, frankly, resources to, of course, make the impact that we consciously and, of course, futuristically and with a high degree of optimism to implement in these places, so as to make it the kind of place that everybody would want to visit and live in.
I understand that.
Yes.
So what we need is a few more Lennox.
Boy, I'm glad you mentioned that, because one of the objectives that I'm hoping would come out of these exercises is that we will get, of course, more persons that committed and living, of course, and are living in the area, prepared to live in the area, stay in the area in order to achieve that objective. So only recently I delivered several, of course, persons who could be placed, let's say, on state boards, for example, and I hope that, of course, all of our recommendations materialize. It doesn't matter whether it's a big board, a middle board, or a lower board, but the experience alone will give people a better sense of what is required in order to, of course, to sustainably take the area forward and to, of course, contribute to national development. Caller, just hold on, Mr. Faizabad, just hold on. I have another caller on the handset. Go ahead, caller. Are you finished?
Right.
Yes.
So, well, from what we understand, the government already said all her supporters and everybody will get their rightful place when that time reaches.
Right.
It's just
yes.
a matter of time.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
all the parties that joined up with her.
Yes.
The coalition, you understand, which is you are one.
Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because the very fact that we are part of the coalition of interests on the same level of PEP, the same level of COP, the same level of the OWTU, PSA, etc. And the reason we did that is because of that concern that we would have had. We consider ourselves a regional party, Laventille Outreach for Vertical Enrichment, which we created in order to, again, impact on the area that has so much negative or positive, depending on the extent of the intervention on the national life, national development, and the future of Trinidad and Tobago. So we are very conscious as to our role and responsibility, and as you rightly said, there is a need for more Lennox Smiths, and therefore we have put a mechanism in place, and we hope that all of our candidates, let me put it that way, or all of our recommendees will be given, of course, board appointments so that they can, of course, continue with this process, because Trinidad and Tobago will be negatively affected if, of course, the right formula is not reached, and it will take longer to transform this place from an oil, gas, and petrochemical-based economy to one that could utilize, of course, our various, let's say, talents, culture, etc., such as the steel pan. It's not by accident I said that we have a greater concentration of steel pan and steel bands more than any other area, and therefore we can make our contribution to tourism, for example, and of course intellectual property, and getting, of course, the production of steel pan going. A steel pan coming from Laventille with a Laventille brand, and the place where the steel pan was invented, I think would do tremendous. Will be a tremendous boost to Trinidad and Tobago, particularly where we have made it, of course, our national instrument, and it is recognized now by the United Nations. So therefore, all of those opportunities are there, but we have to be able to put the mechanisms in place to take advantage of it. I would love those young men who I'm seeing all over the place, unemployed and so on, to become employed. I want to see them become businessmen in their own right. I want to see them, of course, rehabilitate East Port of Spain, for example, and make it a striving area so that anybody could come in and do business without, of course, having the fear of crime and criminality or endangering themselves and, of course, their family and their possessions.
So if we would like to make contribution to your group in that area, how do we do that?
Well, of course, we have a mechanism. We have, of course, a whole team of persons working both business. We try to have people specialize, as Kamala would say, the Prime Minister would say, stay in your corner. Well, we try to, of course, give responsibility to different persons so that they can be part and parcel, feel part and parcel, report, of course, to the August group, the central group, and then, of course, we strategize so that we can get. In fact, today, somebody visited me from the United States, and, of course, we had a very lengthy discussion. She's involved, so it's a she's involved, of course, in tourism and entertainment, and we are looking at some program that we can do. She, of course, in the United States, we here, and of course through the Ministry of Tourism, she may well be able, as she would have demonstrated in the past, have a lot of experience, of course, in getting persons to come to Trinidad, whether it's for Carnival, whether it's for other occasions, and therefore spend their US dollars here, so that, of course, we can augment the cadre of monies in foreign currency that Trinidad and Tobago depend on in order to survive as a society.
Okay. I appreciate you very much, man.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, of course. And it was a pleasure being at your service, so to speak. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yes, bye-bye. Yes, indeed, of course, the person. Mr. Faizaman, sorry about that call back, but that was an important call. I think that contribution to me is very, very important, because what it did is highlight so many things that are happening, and some may say in the closet, but people need to know, the authorities need to know that there is something wonderful that is taking place in a place that was never expected to be, and that the transformation process has started. I have often said that if I get the chance, I empty the treasury in Laventille, and that is not an idle talk, you know. I'm very, very serious about that, and of course, but I also said on the other hand that if the PNM was in government, I would never, of course, lift one finger to assist, because I knew and I know that it would be an exercise in futility, because they have this propensity to damage even vinegar. They will spoil vinegar, and also I am not going to engage the PNM, but certainly Kamla Prasad Bisesa, the UNC, the coalition of interest, certainly I will work for free to, of course, make certain that the transformation takes place, because I know that they are people-centered, and that they are really concerned about the people, and therefore are true patriots as opposed to the PNM. They are opportunistic political parasites that needs to be relegated to the dustbin of political history in this country. They must be a has-been. But let's go to the lines. A pleasant good night. Sorry about that, Mr. Faizabad, but I thought it was important to share some additional information that only quizzing like that, or should I say conversations like this, will bring out, because of course it makes no sense having it in my head, and of course so many people could have information to make contributions as well, and of course come up with ideas to assist us. A pleasant good night once again.
Good night to you, Uncle Lennox.
Yes, ma'am.
As I resolve, and to all and sundry, share the live, and to all the PNM supporters who voted for the executive, and they're getting resignation now.
Yeah, boy.
Now all them know that all them make a big mistake once again. So share the live, tell them that Uncle Lennox is here now and taking care of the children of the PNM, who say they are PNM till they're dead, and the mother and father see Eric William as the God and creator, because after they lost their way culturally, spiritually, and the roots was rooted out and planted by the Balizé to kill the roots, Uncle Lennox is here to implant them in fertile soil in the land of the birth of the next generation, who they are right now. So our Uncle Lennox is nurturing, planting the seeds of the citizens who was deprived a way of life and a chance to be better. So Uncle Lennox, before I say, if all have 2 bobs, 5 cents, and 10 cents, Uncle contributed and all too. So Uncle Lennox, you didn't have to apologize to me because you are speaking. I cut the call so you can talk uninterruptedly. So I apologize for interrupting your conversation.
Okay. Thank you for seeing it in that context. You know, most people, well, some people don't. So I had to apologize as basic etiquette. Yeah.
No, you don't have to apologize. That's what I'm telling you. You don't need to apologize.
Yeah, I realize that.
I think I know where protocol should be adopted because you are is a contribution is being made, and I was on the line, so I will step back and listen.
Okay.
I will get an opportunity later on.
Beautiful.
So picking up now on the conversation, my contribution tonight won't be the one what I wanted to say. But I will suggest now, make a suggestion that we lobby the central government, which is through the Ministry of Tourism, and then the Foreign Affairs, and then the Trade Minister. I think that might be the ministries which are trying to hint at, to go down the road with.
Yes.
To see that the cruise liners will just come just up in the Bahamas, right? Because all of the Bahamas, Cayman Island, Antigua up on that side. So if we could get them to come into make a call to Trinidad more frequent, like these ship and them who these cruise ships who done in the Caribbean here, and they don't reach down to us. This suggestion is that if these cruise ships make more calls to Trinidad, because remember we're in hurricane belt now, the season, and they give them incentive to come, I think those visitors' arrival from the cruise ship, it will benefit and give good sustainability to the project you are pushing for, so that the arts and culture, creative jewelry sector, the print, right, screen printing of different items and artifacts of Trinidad, and that the people of Laventille, because you have a fort up on the hill, so that they behave themselves, allow the people to come and go to the hill, see a piece of history, and the areas they cook are local food, just like how we know about doubles and Indian delicacy. As I say, the Creole dishes will be presented at a small cost to serve the people when they come up, right? And they see the fort, they learn a little history, and they will see the lovely real estate we have, and the dilapidated people because of politics, the condition they live in. And maybe that will help them to make a call, come back for Carnival and other seasonal things we have. So you see, so this is big of your conversation. This I see in where it could be sustained and sustainability and growth by getting more cruise ships to make the call to our port of Spain. So, Uncle Lennox, I apologize for interrupting you tonight. And I would like to hear your 5 cents, your 10 cents, and your $1 on this. Have a pleasant good night, everybody.
Yes, indeed. Well, I want to tell you first and foremost, scholar, go to the top of the class. Exactly that we have in mind. Let me repeat. Go to the top of the class is exactly that. Because a people without vision soon perishes. And clearly, our proximity, our nearness, of course, to the port of call where cruise ships will come. Cruise ships are not going to land or berth in, of course, Point Lisas, unless they come to see the estate. That's all that is there. But when they come to Port of Spain, the main port in the capital city of Trinidad and Tobago, and East Port of Spain is a stone's throw from that particular port. It means that all of the logistical elements are there for a very vibrant, should I say, tourism enterprise. And the caller did in fact mention a few. I did, of course, in my earlier presentation with the previous caller, as far as the highest concentration of the best steel bands in the country. Let me repeat. The highest concentration of the best steel bands in the country. And don't let me talk, you know, because we have Despas just down the road. We have, of course, All Stars just up the road, all on George Street. We have, of course, Renegades further up Charlotte Street. We have Carib, of course, that is still to find itself, but very historical steel band. We have Courts, not too far from from what we call the Tamarind Tree, or from the flyover. We have even, of course, Blue Diamonds on George Street as well, a fraction of itself. All of that, because if it is that you are saying that steel pan is, of course, the national instrument, and you are prepared, of course, to go to where it can go, including, of course, at the United Nations, and to set up a day for steel pan, and its invention, the only percussion instrument that was invented in the 20th century. We're talking serious business. We are talking serious business here. For the tourism product that once well packaged, the area can benefit. And of course, notwithstanding that, we have, of course, the historical, as the caller rightly said, two main forts, Fort Picton and the other one that tourists can visit and, of course, be part and parcel of our colonial past, but, of course, a very important element. Let me tell all you something. When you go at the top of what is called John John, from there, you can see almost the whole of the Gulf of Paria. But from there, too, when gas used to be flared at Pointe-à-Pierre, on a clear or not so clear night, from the hills of Laventille, you can see those lights burning. You can see those gas towers flaring, burning, and lit up the skyline from there. So that the tourists coming, and they want, of course, to know where, of course, because our oil industry is, if not the oldest in the world, over 100 years. And some say that the first time they discovered oil was right here in Trinidad. Of course, we could dispute that, but that doesn't mean to say we can't make it part and parcel of the story that will attract tourists. And you go on top of Picton there, and John, and see where, of course, our refinery would have been, and of course have a look at the Gulf of Paria. But there is more. Many people go to the bird sanctuary using, of course, the Sir Solomon Hochoy Highway in Caroni, and then, of course, they take one of the flat bottom boats and go down the Caroni to look, of course, at the scarlet ibis and other birds that, of course, bird watchers admire. But a well-kept secret that on mornings, behind what we call the labas or the dump, these very birds take flight, and they go there to feed on mornings. I could imagine that would be a bird watcher delight. And you stay on top of Picton or Junjun, and you can witness that happening. Yes, people. What is the impediment? The reputation of the place. The reputation of the place for violence, for poverty. That is the impediment. And so we need, all right, let me take it here. I got it on the system, but I'll take it on the phone, otherwise I'll have to cut it off. A pleasant good night.
Lennox, good night. This is Miss Harima speaking.
Good night to you, my dear.
I ain't called some weeks now because I get damn vexed.
I hear you. But let's not go there. Let's get on.
You want to talk all kind of talk about pipeline in the water with Guyana, and you tell me don't call in and I get blasted vexed.
That's all right. But
So
as I said,
myself.
yeah, let us get on with it.
Listen, I talking. Let me talk.
No, let's
Let me
get on
clear
with the
myself.
issue that you want to
Let me
raise.
clear
Forget the past.
myself.
Yeah.
I find you talking plenty tonight, you know. You
Yes,
talk
but I
with
want to
somebody
talk
just
plenty
now,
because I want you to focus on the issue.
They talk plenty, and I don't want to get interrupted. You listen to them when they're talking, so let me talk. So as I say, I ban myself, but I want to say something here tonight concerning that steel band talk. That's why I call in, because it is Chenana. With that steel band talk, you're talking about all-stars and despers in that hot zone where we all know hot, and all them people in Lavantil know they hot. That man from Faizabad, he head ain't good, right? Because it have traveler advisory where they say not to go in these areas. Port of Spain, from flicking shot.
It's clear that you weren't listening, so I don't want to entertain talk that, of course, is unnecessary. The fact is that we were talking futuristic and not, of course, not the reality of the situation. We are saying that we know the reality. We know all that. What we are saying is that once that is cleaned, once that is cleansed, once that we have people who are prepared, of course, to do the hard work, certainly we will be able to see the vision of a more salubrious, a more transparent. I'm not going to entertain that. So that is we have gone past what the contribution that she is making and the trajectory that she's on. So I'm not going to entertain that. But the fact of the matter is that we were looking at the future. We were looking at the possibilities, and therefore that is what we are on, development here, and not, of course, looking back in the mirror. So, of course, we have gone past that. Mr. Faizabad was talking about what is possible, and I commended him for that, because that is exactly where we are thinking as Lavantillians, as people who are from East Port of Spain, as people who are in the jaws of the problem. And of course, we know that we have to do these things in order to solve it. So right now, we know that, and I was at the point, and that's why I thought that she's not making sense, because I was at the point to say, what is keeping that back? What is keeping it back is, of course, the violence, the advisories, as I said earlier, and of course the impression that people will have about these areas, both here in Trinidad, in Tobago, in the Caribbean, and of course farther afield. We covered those areas already. No need to give us a history of what we already know and covered tonight as far as advancing the area. And of course what we are saying is that the presence of persons like myself and people who have a vision for the area in terms of tourism. We talked about, of course, the two forts. We talked about, of course, people don't know that the Scarlet Ibis and the and other birds feed behind the labas. A bird watcher will be marveled at that development, but the only reason that it cannot happen is because the area has a reputation of not being able to accommodate persons who may be visiting as far as domestic visitors are concerned and as far as foreign visitors are concerned. And one of the objectives of having these ambassadors and high commissioners here in Port of Spain and in Laventille is to show them that the place can be sanitized, and that once we get to those young people to, of course, behave themselves, and the community to, of course, recognize that there is a nexus between they getting $1 and of course, people coming into the area to provide that $1, the faster that could happen, the better for all of us, including the whole country. Because as we said, we went, of course, from the fact that gas and oil and anything that is hydrocarbon is, of course, something that is a wasting asset, meaning that once you take it out, it can't go back. And so we have to look at other means to bring in foreign exchange into the country. Let us not waste time with anybody giving us rhetorical tautology, so to speak. I am not going to entertain that at this point in time. So that being as it may, let me, of course, continue with the one of the issues that Jeremy spoke of in terms of attacking the Prime Minister unmeritoriously without justification, so to speak, and people getting away with it. Well, he is saying that no, you're not going to get away with it. Talking about the present Attorney General John Jeremy. But let's hear one of the issues that he would have obviously been referring to. Al-Rari made an accusation some time ago that he had, of course, to swallow. He had to, of course, renege. He had to apologize. Otherwise, of course, he would have been taken to the Privileges Committee of the Parliament because he made the statement in Parliament. Listen to it again.
Kamla Prasad, Bisessa's members of family, all receive rentals from the government. Kamla Prasad, Bisessa's members of family, all receive rentals from the government.
I can categorically state and confirm that no family members of the member for Siparia benefited from any government rentals. This matter, Madam Speaker, is grounded on the fact that the member for San Fernando West deliberately misled this honorable House and by extension the viewing citizens of the country, as he knew or ought to have known the statement he made was a deliberate untruth. It was false and it was incorrect.
The member for Oropouche East has since refuted my statements, which reflected upon the member for
Had
Siparia.
to apologize.
In those circumstances, I withdraw my statements and hereby apologize to the member for Siparia.
The member for San Fernando West deliberately misled this honorable House and by extension the viewing citizens of the country, as he knew or ought to have known the statement he made was a deliberate untruth. It was false and it was incorrect.
I withdraw my statements and hereby apologize to the member for Siparia.
Let's hear that again. I think it is worth hearing because that is the kind of misinformation, disinformation, and in the case of what I consider to be criminal conduct in public office, recusing themselves dozens of times, in some cases hundreds of times. Then, of course, giving contracts to friends and family and wives. And then engaging, of course, in what is called subverting the course of natural justice or criminal justice, as it was the case with, of course, Vincent Nelson. That must be investigated. They can't get away from that. Imagine a man in a criminal matter to set up Anand Ramlogan and Ramdeen. That same Al-Rari and Rowley, guilty as hell. We couldn't prove it then. But control of the government, would provide all of the mechanisms so to do. Imagine that. And Rowley was up and down the place when Vincent Nelson was forced, bribed to be a witness and to give a statement. Whether the issue is true or not, we have a process. You cannot be God. You cannot say because you believe the person is guilty. It has to be proven, because no man has the power to know what is in a person's mind, or have the power to be ubiquitous, have to be, of course, at all places, at all times. You're not God. So Rowley and they tried to play God by concluding that Alan Ramlogan and Ramdeen are guilty of what they say that they have committed. Forget, of course, the court, but utilizing the court in order to sanitize or legitimize what they say, because they can't do it no other how. It's a good thing we have an independent court here in this country. And evidence is, of course, critical for culpability or for certifying culpability. And here it is. At the end of the day, we learned that the same Al-Rari encouraged, of course, by virtue of a $10 million dangling, or should I say incentive, to give a statement, to compromise, or to indict in a court of law, to find guilty in a court of law, with that statement that he was enticed to give by Al-Rari. I'm talking about, of course, Vincent Nelson being enticed to give a statement. Al-Rari being the enticer. And when the sordid affair was found out, thank God to good whistleblowers and persons with a conscience, the entire thing unfolded and collapsed in their faces. Rowley was up and down the place saying that, of course, they get a big fish, Alan Ramlogan and Ramdeen, and that Rowley made reference to Pamasa. Remember that? The Abdul Malik case. And how Pamasa went as state witness. All of that Rowley said on the podium and in the public. And he believed that we weren't listening. He believed that somehow they could get away with that. And so he went on to say that all of that was to, of course, make certain that elements connected to Kamla Prasad Bisesa and the UNC, they will get blue lights and handcuff. That is what Rowley said. At the time when, of course, none of us knew what was the evil that was lurking below all of that. And of course, people like myself were saying there's something more in the matter than the person knowing how evil Rowley and, of course, his cohorts would have been and are. Still, you give them a chance again, they mash all of us up. They mash all of us up. But Rowley was at the time up and down the country saying that, of course, they got a big fish, and then Ramlogan and Ramdeen, and therefore, of course, they are going to be put in handcuffs and blue lights. That's what he was saying. Let us not waste time with that. They can't get away from that. And then when, of course, all of the information was in, and the DPP recognized that it was being set up, he withdrew the blasted cases against Alan Ramlogan and Ramdeen. And all Rowley did was to move Al-Rari from the position of Attorney General to that of the Minister of what? Of Rural Development, and telling us that somehow his job was to impose a property tax on us, full stop, under the guise of some kind of what? Local government reform. It was about property tax. And he was prepared, of course, to be the fall guy and the progenitor and the advocate for that, of course, pernicious disposition, because Rowley said in 2015 that they will never interfere with, of course, property tax. He too was of the view, and the PNM was of the view, that property tax was too detrimental because he opposed Manning when Manning as Prime Minister in 2008 thereabout was, of course, pursuing the implementation of property tax. Then Dr. Rowley said in no uncertain terms, when he wanted, of course, to unseat Manning and, of course, want to get to the hearing and the sympathy of the people, he said, of course, that not one of his what I consider to be burgesses, or not one of his member of his electorate, not one would be able to add another $100, afford $100, the man say, $100, you know, he implement, when he got to the office eventually, a situation where at minimum you had to pay $500. Because if according to the act, your property is worth less than $14,000, you know will be obligated to $500 as a minimum threshold. That's what they did. The point I am making here, that they can't get away, and that is what, of course, Al-Rari subjected the country to, he and Rowley, and that is what today the current Attorney General is referring to when he said that I will be at war with you. Let us hear why just one of the many very evil, diabolical, and as the saying goes, be careful the hole you dig for people unrighteously, because you may fall in it. Well, they have fell in it. Oh, what a tangle web we weave when we first set out to deceive. Let me repeat. Oh, what a tangle web we weave when we first set out to deceive. And that is what Rowley and they did. And of course, people like Penelope Beckers were involved and stood there and said nothing and remained silent, so they cannot escape culpability. No. They too have to grapple with their conscience. And the people have to be constant as the Northern Star, as they recognize how evil they are, and will stay the course with the UNC, the coalition of interests, and of course the proper administration of Trinidad and Tobago, people-centered, oriented. Let's go to the lines. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Good night, Mr. Lennox, and good night to everybody in the line.
Yes, man. Good night to you, my friend.
Yes,
hey.
Yeah, listen to this, sir. You telling me on the first day of the job, Mr. Colin in Booth. Boy, listen, man, $1.3 million, nothing mentioned, right? You telling me $30,000 for painting, right? And you paying $35,000 to hang up the painting? Boy, they had a jail them fellas and them, boy. Them fellas have to make a big jail in this country.
That is the
them
trend.
too evil.
Yeah, that is what we have to demand. That is what we have to support this government for, to make certain that those evil hypocrites are thrown behind bars for what they have done to us. I seen him at a press conference. Yes, man.
Talking about what Barry Parrott said is a lie, and that Barry Parrott is a hypocrite and all kind of thing. I said, but this man disgusting, eh?
Aggression be the best form of defense. Both he Ibsbert and Rowley are exponents of that. The rest of them are amateurs, but they still try. You just listen to Gonzalez and know the kind of nincompoop that he is by trying, of course, to be something that he is not.
Well, I want to see the day when you see the Attorney General, right, start to deal with these fellas and them. The first man I wanted to hold and put in bracelets is in both, you know. We go deal with Rowley and them after.
Well, I defer to you. I want to say the whole damn cabinet, because right now they can't find the notes or the meeting where the entire cabinet agreed to close down Petrotrin. They can't find it.
Oh my
they
God.
can't find outside of that. They can't find where the discussion, the preliminary discussion, occurred outside of the reports that suggested that the oil refinery remain. Just you streamline it in such a way so that it becomes more efficient. No recommendation to close it down, but like it appears now that that decision came from out of thin air, some kind of epiphany.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
they
they
lock
have
up
to
all of them,
account.
boy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Have
they
to
have
account.
to account. All of them had to get locked up.
Yeah, of course.
Them evil, boy.
Entire
Oh my
cabinet.
God.
Entire cabinet.
Wait.
Yes.
Anyway, I'm going to Mr. Lennox. Have
Yes,
a
my
blessed
friend.
night.
Yes, my
God
friend.
bless.
You have to be angry as I am, and
Yes, I am
everybody
very
else.
angry.
Yes, man. Yes, man. Very good, man. And everybody else, they cannot come and sanitize themselves and believing that somehow we are fools. No, cannot be. So Rowley was up and down the place, Pamasa, etc. And let me tell you this to terminate this part of the discussion, but leading to, of course, the fact that the government is seriously looking at measures to treat with these matters. But I just thought I should relate it because there are those sycophants and those trolls who, in 6 weeks' time, wanted the government to perform miracles. And of course, being plodded on by these nincompoops who are part of that 13 and maybe the other, what I consider to be insane apparatus that was in office prior to the 28th of April. Let us not waste time. Let us not waste time. They were, in fact, engaged in that kind of activity to subvert and undermine the criminal justice system. And we need, of course, to say it over and over, and they must come in our faces, and we must laugh at them as they try to sanitize themselves, because that is what they will do. Aggression being the best form of defense, as we have seen throughout, of course, from since 2015 to up to the 28th of April of this year. So, Rowley was saying a similar scenario of Pamasa when he turned state witness. And therefore, Vincent Nelson turned as state witness. What he was so foolish about, what he was so nincompoopish about. And of course, because probably he's studying rocks as a geologist, a rock-headed statement, he doesn't understand that in a criminal matter, you can't bribe nobody to be with money to be a witness. That in itself is unacceptable and no in criminal matters. And even, of course, in civil matters, but in criminal matters more so. The most deal you could make is that the person would want to be absolved from his or her participation in the criminal act, as was the case with Pamasa. So he misguided the population and he misrepresented the reality and therefore lied to the population. Go in the annals of the jurisprudence of this country and read the case about Abdul Malik and the fact that Pamasa became a state witness because he wanted to save his own skin. That is what happens. You don't pay people. But in this case, what we're saying is that they pay Vincent Nelson $10 million, and of course supported by his then Attorney General, and telling us that they have an airtight case. And of course he was up and down the place saying that that's a Queen's Counsel, you know. But afterwards, when the news broke and the reality struck, they then say that they don't know him. But the die was already cast. And the evidence was so pellucid, so conspicuous, so irrefutable, that up to today, we could talk in a manner that will demonstrate that we could never be wrong. Never be wrong. Because you made a fool of yourself, trying to fool the population, to give the impression because you came into office blaming the UNC and Kamala Prasad Bisesa in 2015 of all kinds of wrongdoings. And when we examine it clinically and critically, we saw that there was never any, and I keep saying, and I say now, just by way of reiteration, and for your own consumption, that on the basis of mega projects, when Rowley and they were saying that of course, the UNC and Kamala Prasad Bisesa between 2010 and 2015 were corrupt. When we examine, we saw that whilst they were in government between 2015 and of course just a couple of months ago, they couldn't prove anything, and they could not prove that the mega projects, whether it be the velodrome, the cycling velodrome, whether it be the aquatic center, whether it be the Cuba Hospital, the Children's Hospital incidentally, or any other project, they couldn't prove that these people were corrupt. So hollow tail, and you, of course, the sycophants, and you, apologists, and you, trolls, that is what you are. You're a bunch of nincompoops who cannot analyze, and I could say that now without fear of contradiction. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Yeah, Lennox, you hear me there?
Loud and clear, my friend.
A schemer could never be a brilliant man.
I hear you.
Right? You remember when you and Dr. Khaled had the program on 104 in the morning?
Yes.
And when Alvaro was talking about the people in South.
Yes.
If they can't produce documentation that they own them, they will take it.
Yes.
What I tell you? I said, so we were trying to see Eric Williams and them people in South was running racket.
Yes.
And you tell them, find anything you could find your hand and file it in your warden office.
Yes.
But when you realize how they could take him on with that, right? You show how stupid he is.
Yeah.
Right? Now he come with he do and wore me way around, still screaming to try to bring property tax. Right? And they will charge me 5,000 and you will get a criminal record and all this kind of thing. That fella is a dunce.
Total and absolute. I want to come and pay all his prime minister and ministers of government and government and cabinet and so on. A bunch of criminals, a bunch of what I can say miscreants, and of course within a criminal enterprise. And we ain't finished yet. We have to remind them of that, and we have to remind the population of that, and we have to remind those persons who decided to disassociate themselves with the PNM, over 100,000 of them, as confirmed by the present leader to be. I don't know what kind of leader she will be. Lame duck one, as was the government for a very long time, and we were advocating then that they must call early elections, and early elections they did. It was as a result of not being able to stay in government, but because the weight of corruption, nepotism, cronyism, and of course illegal acts were so overwhelming that they had to call the elections. Wait, tell me about Cummins trying to make a case that they call elections too early. They had to. Go ahead, my friend.
Yes, they had to.
Yes, they had to.
And listen to this before I go. A lot of people that we call in, and here for the speaker to go, the president speaker, right?
Yes.
Lennox, you know as well as I. That man operating just like the speaker in England.
Yes.
And in South Africa. It's only when he see that they go want to fight, then he does intervene. You see, everybody has a chance. But when they're revving up and getting on, and he see that they have a fight, then he just shut up and say, order. You are better speaker than that?
Of course not. Of course not. And you see how we made an ass of Marvin or Movin or whatever effeminine or Marva in the parliament. He said, you expect the man, you really believe that when the man say you put your knee on the neck, you really believe that he was saying you take your physical knee and put it on his physical neck? You know he can't, sir. He can't, sir. Damn fool.
Right? So the speaker we have is a brilliant speaker.
Very brilliant indeed, yes. That is how I would approach things as well. Appearing, I must not only be unbiased, but I must appear to be unbiased. And fry these nincompoops in their own oil. And that is what and the oil well hot.
Everybody has the right to talk, so yes, you let them talk.
Yes, indeed.
But when they start to talk crap,
That's right.
and argue with one another.
You let the whole world know the depth of their ignorance and their unworthiness of being in such a high office.
As you say, Millennium fried itself.
Yeah, in the old hot oil.
Hot oil.
Yes, hot oil, hot as it could be. Yeah.
You know most of them, they in Batan all them. They will be a spoke to see Jack, you turn into a president, and he said, you know.
Yeah.
And he said, George.
Yeah. No, they could only strive when they have the protection of a biased speaker. But under natural one-to-one argument, it's chalk and cheese, and we are seeing that unfolding on a daily basis. You see, even Alexander came back at him, even though, of course, what he said was not on the floor of the parliament. But he looked like a fool, so much so he started to raise objections. And even one of the objections when the speaker asked, well, do you believe that the man take his physical foot and put it on your physical neck? He can't, sir. He can't, sir. I see some other people calling in from Tobago as well. We have limited time. All right, yes, indeed. People, of course, I will wait for. I see Mr. Silver Fox trying to get in, so I will wait for his call because it's after 10 already. I know we started a bit later, but I am going to stick to the time as far as I can, 10 o'clock, because of course pretty soon we'll have to reduce the amount of time. There's so much things that that requires my attention. That of course, but I don't know if we can groom someone to, of course, take up the other half. I will try that as well, and hope, of course, that they can deliver and, of course, meet your expectations. But let's go straight to the lines. Mr. Silver Fox is here. Pleasant good night. I thought I should delay a bit for your call, Mr. Silver Fox. Go ahead. Yes.
Well, I heard so.
Yes.
Now, Lennox, I heard you say something tonight. I listened in your program, right?
Yes.
And you said that this government had no authority to really close down petrol train. They can't find no note stated.
Yeah, no evidence, no cabinet note.
So then this is a criminal act because
criminal act. We were speculating then. Yeah, we were speculating then. We know now.
And tax us to our knees that we're gonna be balling massa this and massa that.
That's right. That was the intention. A criminal enterprise.
That something had to happen with that. They have to go to court with that.
Of course.
Right? The Attorney General have to put them to court for this. You just can't close down an oil refinery of a country just because you feel so for the people, because you might have some vendetta against Trinidad and Tobago from a long time. You want to bring us to nothing now. I don't understand that. And one thing I don't understand again, how Marvin saying he feel hurt with Kojo and Chanfa. Eh?
Yeah, he feel hurt. But here why he feel hurt? Because he couldn't come.
If I had sold clothes, I'd tell he or she what she should feel hurt about.
Yeah,
because there are certain things she should feel hurt about.
Yeah.
But I can't talk it here.
I hear you. But here what he feel hurt about, the rationale, the reason for him feeling hurt is that he couldn't come to Tobago to visit them. So he he was even more hurt when he heard that they lost the election. Just imagine that. What kind of logic is that? What kind of assness is that, boy?
Let me say something to you.
Go ahead, man.
I see PNM trying to wash down road in Tobago now in the country. Right? They are doing foolishness because they're running a hose from about a mile long, and when the water reaches tickling. Right? Now they're trying to make Fally and them look bad.
Yes.
But they're making their own self look bad.
It's clear.
We don't want PNM back in Tobago again.
They have lost their mind.
We don't want PNM again in nothing.
Yes.
Right? There's a disaster. They are hypocrites. They are parasites. Right?
Yes.
And I will say something again.
Go ahead, my friend.
All of these people who coming on and saying with Kamala and so forth. These people are PNM fanatics.
It's obvious. Anybody who can't open their eyes and
You
clear
just
the
can't
MP.
start
Yeah.
to put people to work just like that. You have to go through papers, you have to go through figures, right?
Yes.
And they know that. And the woman only there but about 2 months now, right? When you really was there, you wasn't hearing them voices, right?
That's right.
So let us stay damn quiet and keep out of Trinidad and UNC and we business.
That's right.
They could talk from now till never ready, and Lennox only should cut them off.
I hear you. Well, yeah, because I thought was wasting time, man. I don't come on later already and to tell me something that we done pass already,
right?
because you have some kind of VAPs. I can't afford that. We have to move forward, man.
That, but
Yeah.
they just shoo mode, right?
Yeah.
Propaganda mode.
Yes.
Eh? They are hypocrites and parasites.
Yeah. And
Right?
these were the same people
woman
who.
start to walk and she's walking.
And these were the same people who were saying they're moving forward, but the handbrakes up, so they're really moving nowhere. Telling us that, of course, 26 seats and 39 seats was impossible.
Just imagine the books that a child used in school now, our next one could use it, and our next one could use it, and our next one. That is progress.
Yeah, but more than that, I think they kept back, as you talk that, I think they kept back the book program, the textbook program, only because they don't want to be accused of cutting a PNM oriented or sustained program, because there is no need for any physical textbook. If you're giving them a laptop, all you need to do is to put it in the program, put it in the computer, and that's it, and you have it everywhere you go.
And them
There's no need for any textbook, physical textbook. That is modern. That is modern classroom and teacher learning environment. You could be in contact with your teacher 24/7, 7 o'clock in the night, 10 o'clock in the night. You could call your teacher and say, I don't understand this, etc. With, of course, the device. You can't do that with a textbook. Open a textbook now and say, I'm going to call my teacher and see what happened to you. You have to. You quicker get it to use for toilet paper.
Millions and billions of dollars overrun.
Yeah.
What are you doing building library in this modern time for?
Yeah, that's madness.
And before I go, right?
Go ahead.
I want to say this. My father lived Laventille all his years.
Yes.
Even though when he was working with Randy Burroughs Flying Squad. I asked my father one day, how come is Laventille always want to live as a big policeman? He said to me, he said, boy, the people of Laventille, if they get the right exposure, they'll be the best people in Trinidad and Tobago. And I believe him. And hail to all of the people in Laventille, and always stay strong and stay without violence. Whereas all you have a long way to go, and all you have a river to cross, and don't throw away all the sticks before you cross the water. Thank you.
Thank you very much, man. Well said, man. Well said in terms of philosophy and practicality. Not those pessimists, those eternal pessimists who believe that the place. We gave the country its national culture. Steel band, calypso, mass. Understand that. That is why, whether they like it or not, they can't go on the avenue and start carnival. That has started wrong here, wrong the bridge. It is called Cambule. Marks the start of carnival. But at the end of the day, when it matters, when the merry monarch reigns Monday and Tuesday, everything goes, of course, west of the tongue. And the businessmen and they laugh gleefully to the bank on Ash Wednesday. We are saying that we have to get piece of that as well. And that there's no better history, there's no better, what I consider to be opportunity to be part of the tourist package than these places. Yes, we know that what is required is the cleaning up of the social aspect of it, the human part of it, which is possible. Let us not waste time. But let us hear once again what, of course, the Attorney General was referencing when he said that to all and sundry, you and I are sending a message, of course, to the PNM that he's prepared to be their enemy because of things like this against Kamla Prasad Bisesa on truth and of course naked and unadulterated, what I consider to be set up, unadulterated accusations that has no basis.
Kamla Prasad.
Yes, indeed. You'll hear him in a while. You'll hear him in a while.
Bisesa's members of family all receive rentals from the government. Kamla Prasad Bisesa's members of family all receive rentals from the government.
And he's saying it with
I
assurance.
can categorically state and confirm that no family members of the member for Siparia benefited from any government rentals. This matter, Madam Speaker, is grounded on the fact that the member for San Fernando West deliberately misled this honorable House and by extension the viewing citizens of the country, as he knew or ought to have known the statement he made was a deliberate untruth. It was false and it was incorrect.
The member for Oropuch East has since refuted my statements, which reflected upon the member for Siparia. In those circumstances, I withdraw my statements and hereby apologize to the member for Siparia.
The member for San Fernando West deliberately misled this honorable House and by extension the viewing citizens of the country, as he knew or ought to have known the statement he made was a deliberate untruth. It was false and it was incorrect.
I withdraw my statements and hereby apologize to the member for Siparia.
But let's wait there as the repercussions of the internal elections. Only 5,000 persons. I say it would have been about 500. So of course, and I said the maximum may be about 2,000 persons of the 100,000 that was supposed to be members and therefore qualified to vote. So we know, but as Mr. Faizabad said, one person, of course, immediately resigned, being one of the contestants in that particular contest, the internal election. Let me just read the statement, because yes, it was on social media. So I have gotten, of course, by what I consider to be diligent observation, a copy of that statement. And listen to what it says. Of course, it's dated the 25th, which was yesterday, June, and therefore after the internal elections. And it reads, a short one, so I'll just inform you of it. Mr. Foster Cummins, the General Secretary, the People's National Movement, Balizé House, number 1, Tranquility Street, Port of Spain. Resignation from the General Council of the People's National Movement. And it continues, it is with a heavy heart that I write to tender my resignation from the General Council of the PNM. The lack of transparency and accountability. Let me repeat that. The lack of transparency and accountability. So not only within the party itself, but certainly in government, we saw, of course, the country being subjected to the most awful and the most, what I consider to be pugnacious, and of course, reprehensible array of lack of transparency and accountability, so much so that they invented a new term. They call it, of course, non-disclosure clauses. They went further, non-disclosure clauses, just imagine it. But let's continue with this resignation letter immediately after the outcome of the elections, of course, where Penelope Beckel's slate won. The lack of transparency and accountability by the Elections Supervisory Committee to candidates that were not of the one team, so her team was called one team, was not in keeping with any standard of fairness in any democratic society. Wow, serious statement. My team, which was that person's team, and I will continue to work on the ground for the sake of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. But that I know is a false statement. Once you are doing that, within the PNM, it cannot be a serious statement. But of course, he put it in to make it sound nice. But we know that is superficial, superfluous, and at best. And that is at best. And at worst, he and all in believe it. But let's continue with the last sentence. I wish all those that have won their respective positions the very best. I know that he really in wishing that. Yours respectfully, but of course you have to be humane and you have to be congenial and you have to be respectful. So that is par for the course. But really and truly, he didn't mean that. Otherwise, he wouldn't resign. Of course, and he says, of course, what's his name? Fari Hove, H-O-V-E. I always have a problem with pronouncing this, but I will do it tonight. Masesi. M-A-S-A-I-I-S-T-I. Massachusetts. Oh, yeah, Massachusetts. Whatever it is, the fact is that he is attorney. He is an attorney at law that, of course, has resigned from the General Council. One of the fallout from the outcome of the internal elections of the PNM only on Sunday gone. So the party continues to implode, and of course, inexorably moving towards what? Extinction, as we have predicted on this and other platforms. So people, of course, I thought it was important, but to bring up the rear in terms of what is possible in Laventille, listen to this, so you will get an appreciation as we put this together about Laventille, East Port of Spain, etc. Listen to this. Very important.
Hey everyone. Today, I want to share something truly transformative happening right here in Trinidad and Tobago. Let's talk about the Morvant Laventille Improvement Organization, better known as MLIO. Now, you might be wondering, what's MLIO all about? Well, it's a grassroots initiative aiming to uplift and empower the communities in Morvant and Laventille. These are areas that have faced significant challenges, including crime, poverty, and limited access to opportunities.
We know,
but
so nobody
MLIO
can tell us that.
the script.
We know.
They're not just addressing problems, they're creating solutions. Through a range of programs focused on education, health, and community development, MLIO is making a tangible difference. Take their education programs, for example. They're providing after-school tutoring, scholarships, and even vocational training. Kids who might have fallen through the cracks are now dreaming big and achieving even bigger. That's the power of education. Health is another cornerstone of MLIO's mission. They've set up health clinics, organized fitness activities, and run campaigns to raise awareness about crucial health issues. The result? A healthier, more informed community ready to take on the world. And let's not forget community development. MLIO hosts workshops on entrepreneurship, financial literacy, and leadership skills. They're not just giving a fish, they're teaching how to fish. People are starting businesses, getting jobs, and becoming role models in their own right. But what really sets MLIO apart is their heart. This organization isn't just about projects and programs. It's about people. It's about neighbors helping neighbors and communities rising together. The spirit of unity and resilience is palpable, and it's changing lives every single day. So, if you're a community leader looking for inspiration, look no further than MLIO. This is proof that with a clear vision and a lot of heart, real change is possible. Let's continue to support and champion initiatives like MLIO. Together, we can create brighter futures for all. Thanks for your attention, and remember, change starts with you. Hey everyone, today...
Yes indeed, people, that is what we are talking about. What you can see, a society without vision is doomed to fail. And therefore, and in particular, when you are able to build the institutions that would, of course, generate and support, because an institution is something that is long-lasting into the future, generations after generations. You are able to, of course, with good vision, to transform the worst of communities. And I am saying, anybody who, of course, at this point in time, because of the state of the community, and fail, of course, to do what is required, if only to shut the blasted mouth if they cannot contribute. That will be their contribution. Shut up! and let us get on with the transformation that is required, as we have people with the know-how, the knowledge, and the experience so to do. If you are skeptic, if you are non-supportive, then step aside. But if you wanted to, and of course contributing to the transformation process, you must now of course say what you can do. Because we see the glass half full, not half empty. Let me repeat, we see the glass half full, not half empty. Have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. And see you tomorrow morning on the ground report. And back here, not tomorrow night, no, but on Saturday night. Because tomorrow night, of course, is my Sabbatal. So, of course, people, I thought we would have had a very interesting night tonight. But, of course, I can't end without, of course, admonishing. And if they want, of course, to go into exile, as we anticipated Rowley, for example, would do, because his friend, he has good friends in Venezuela, then start so to do. But once you're staying here, you will be subjected to the criminal and civil laws of the country for what you did to the population of Trinidad and Tobago between 2015 and the 28th of April, and the 28th of April this year. Let us not waste time. Let us not waste time. So, of course, let me just get back to where we started, with respect, of course, to that incident in the Parliament, when, of course, the let me see if I'm not getting it. Let me just deal with it now. All right. So, yes, let me just. I have to end with that. It's important, because we have to know who are the people that are vying for office and who want to say that they could replace what is there now, meaning that the UNC and the coalition of interests. I think it's important that we face the reality that is impossible for them to manage the affairs of the country, and must not be able to get any foothold as far as government and governance is concerned in this country. I'm trying to get the piece that, all right, let me see, let me try this one.
Is the 54.9 million going to be allocated? And therefore I'm asking a simple and reasonable question: where is the 54.9 million going to be allocated?
Serving as a minister,
never had happy.
Every single
criminal wrongdoing is alleged. I don't mind you looking at me. I'm happy. But when you look at the political leader and Prime Minister of the United National Congress, her grandmother, who has served this country for however long, never had one standard raised against her, I will go to war with you. 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 My friends down the road there, you okay? The point is that this is something that needs to be investigated, and it will be investigated with every fiber of my being. I will go to war with you. I will go to war with you. I will go to war with you. My friends down the road there, you okay? The point is that this is something that needs to be investigated, and it will be investigated with every fiber of my being.
I don't mind we practice the cultures that come from a foreign land, but we have our own thing right here that needs even more attention. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, I am talking about calypso, steel pan and limbo dance.
But yes, people, of course, we have come to the end of tonight's program. Have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. And of course, don't forget, I will not be around tomorrow night, but certainly on Saturday night. I think I've given you enough, of course, to take you until Saturday. At least you're skipping one night. So, of course, have a wonderful one. God bless. Bye-bye.
So let me love and give praise and believe for the
Grandmother, who has served this country for however long, never had one standard reason that said, I will go to war with you. I will go to war with you